Эволюциялық дәлелдемелер. Evolutionary evidence. Today, we'll use new terminology. Repeat after me. Fossil record.
Fossil record.
Comparative anatomy.
Comparative anatomy.
Biogeography.
Biogeography.
Comparative embryology.
Comparative embryology.
Biochemical evidence.
Biochemical evidence.
Okay, very good. There are 5 lines of evidence that support evolution. Fossil records, biogeography, comparative anatomy, comparative embryology, and biochemical evidence. The fossil record is a group of fossils which has been analyzed chronologies and in taxonomic order. Comparative anatomy show homologous structure and analogous structure. For example, all animals homologous structures have similar ancestor or common ancestor, but different function. Analogous structures have similar function, but different ancestor. Did you understand?
Yes.
Okay. The comparative embryology study developed embryologies and similar embryologies. Okay. Biochemical evidence is based on enzymes and the chemical process. Listen the audio, then you will explain. Did you understand?
Yes.
Be careful. Start.
Comparative embryology is comparing embryos. Look at the 4 different species below. Do you have any idea what species they are? Well, they look almost the same, so you might think they're very similar species, but these actually represent the embryos of a fish, turtle, chicken, and human. These structures here develop into a fish's gills, but in early stages, these structures are also present in reptiles, birds, and even humans. This down here develops into a tail. In the earliest stages of development, tails are found in all vertebrate species, even if they don't grow and develop to actually have a tail. The similarities found in the embryos of species that grow up to be very different are evidence of common ancestry. Now let's look at some fully developed species and think about structural evidence. Who are bears more closely related to, dogs or cats? Well, if I had to take a guess, I would think about who bears are more similar to. Structural evidence, also called anatomical evidence, involves comparing the body structures of organisms. This could include comparing teeth, bones, or organs. For example, while human arms, cat legs, whale flippers, and bat wings have all evolved to perform different functions, the anatomical evidence shows us that we share the same basic set of bones. This is evidence of common ancestry, but it's not just limited to species that have bones. We compare the anatomy of plants too. While structural evidence supports common ancestry, it can sometimes be misleading. Did you know that the closest living relative of a bear is actually a seal? How did we determine that? Well, through DNA evidence. The definition of being related to someone is sharing DNA, your hereditary material. You might be surprised to learn that all life on Earth has genetic sequences that we share. From plants to animals to single-celled organisms, there are genes that we all have in common. What could us humans possibly have in common with bacteria? While complex organisms require many different genes to build their structures, some of the genes for basic cell functions and metabolic processes are found in all life. The strongest and absolute evidence that we have to support common ancestry is the DNA that we share. Organisms that have more genes in common are more closely related. Techniques like gel electrophoresis can be used to compare DNA between species. But what about species from the past? The fossil record is our greatest source of evidence for evolution because it tells us that species from the past were very different than they are today. While the fossil record is incomplete, and we only have fossils for a fraction of species that have existed, we have evidence of change over time. Fossils cannot provide DNA, so scientists analyze the structural evidence to look for similarities and differences, and use chemical evidence to determine the age of the fossils.
Okay. Did you understand?
Yes.
Okay. What was the audio about? Asılcan?
In this video about evolutionary evidence, there are fossil record, biogeography, comparative anatomy, comparative embryology, and biochemical evidence.
Okay. Very good. What did you understand about comparative anatomy? Who is answering? Who is answering? Okay, moderator answer.
Anatomy type of evidence for evolution is the presence of constructions in organisms that share the same basic form.
Okay, for example, who is answering? Everybody sit down. Good, good, well done.
For example, the bones in the appendages. We all, dog of a human, goat and we all share the same our ancestor.
Okay, very good. Sit down, everybody. Okay, what did you understand about comparative embryology? Who is answering?
Me.
Ankar answer.
The study of one type of evolutions of evidence is called embryology. The study of embryos of many different animals, kids, and for example, mammals, reptiles, birds, fish, etc.
Okay, brilliant. Great. Sit down, Ankar. What is biochemical evidence? Who is answer? Uldana.
Story of evolution is supported of the
Okay, good. Continue. Anel, continue.
caterpillar and can make crazy. Eagle then owing the process of evolution began.
Okay, good. Sit down. Thank you. Okay. What did you understand about fossil records? Who is answer? I don't answer.
The part of paleontology is important to the support and the understanding of evolution. This is the study of prehistoric life, including fossils, footprints, and past climatic events. As organisms die, they become part of the ground. Often they leave behind bones and the imprints which allow us to see what they look at like millions of years later.
Excellent, Aidana. Sit down. Excellent. So, thank you, my students. So, you should match the words. Work with pairs. Okay? You have 2 minutes. Work with pairs. Work with pairs. You have 2 minutes. Adizhan, don't waste your time. Have you finished?
Yes.
How did you compare it? Okay. The first sentences. Who is answer? Okay. Aslan, answer.
The process are found in the cells of all life on Earth, biology, and biochemical evidence.
Biochemical evidence. Okay. Correct. Correct. The second. Okay, Chopin answer. The second sentence.
The future was present in Roman ancestor. Answer S.
S.
Comparative anatomy.
Comparative anatomy. Right. Sit down. Good. Who is answer the third sentences? Okay, number answer.
Paleontologists have remarkable records of fossils. This is the A. Fossil record.
Okay, fossil records. Great. The fourth sentences. Russell answer.
The distribution of species today around Earth is the study of which is called biogeography.
Biogeography. Repeat after me. Biogeography.
Biogeography.
Okay, sit down. Good. The 5 sentences. Jandra, answer.
The study of the
Study,
similarities.
Jandra. The
The
start.
study of the similarities and the differences in the embryos of different species. Comparative comparative embryology.
Comparative embryology. Very good. My students, today our lessons, you are clever, you are nice. Thank you. Our lesson is over. Goodbye.
Goodbye, teacher.